everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to 7 Quick Reviews as I take a look at various board games that some I might love and some I definitely do not. So here we go. We're going to start first with Archeos Society. Archeos Society is a reprint of Ethnos from Simon. It's the same game from Polymori. They've made a few changes, but if you've never heard of Ethnos before, let me show you how it plays. Players are trying to score points in this game by moving their vehicles. Is that a submarine or a blimp? We still can't tell. But they're going to be moving their vehicles down various tracks. Each track has a normal side and then an upgraded with a special ability side, and you can mix and match to whatever you want. You're also going to be playing with a deck of cards with 12 different types of explorers in them. You'll shuffle them together, and you're playing expeditions, groups of cards that will have a leader, and all the cards have the same symbol on them, basically the same type of person, or they all have to be the same color when you play them. When you play sets, you're going to score points at the end of each season, a round. Also, when you play sets, it will allow you to move your vehicles. So to move my vehicle on this purple set, I need 1 card, then 2 cards, then 1 card, then 3 cards. While this one here needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The farther down you get, the more points you have. Players will be drafting cards into their hand from a face-up selection of cards, or they'll be playing a group. But when you play a group, the rest of the cards in your hand will be put into that face-up draft that people can pick from. So you don't want to delay too long. So each of these different characters, I said there's 12 of them, has a special ability. If you pick a leader, they will give you some sort of special ability. There are special abilities here, so there's a lot more combos. There are 3 seasons. Again, you get points for moving along here, from whatever number you're on. And you also get points from putting out big expeditions of characters. Whoever has most points is the winner. A lot of people are basically going to say, is this better than Ethnos? Well, I like the art better, sort of. The theme itself of being archaeologists as opposed to fantasy, oddly enough, I thought the fantasy theme worked better. Moving on to tracks, the biggest difference here, Archeos Society and Ethnos, is that you're moving on tracks rather than area control. And I think that's going to be the crux of whether you like this version better or not. I think I like the moving on tracks a little bit better than area control. Because in area control, you can get shut out because, well, other people beat you. But I can see both, and it would be a tough case for me to pick one over the other. I'm kind of almost even on it. So, also I hate this scoreboard with a passion. But if you've never played this game, it is an excellent game of just drafting cards and playing them. And it's such an intriguing thing. When you play cards, you have to discard the rest of them from your hand face up. Everyone can use them. And then the combinations are fantastic because there are 12 different groups of people you can pick. You're using 6 in a game. And then you have the 6 boards. You can flip over 1 or even multiples of them. So there's just a lot of different variety. It also plays up to 6 pretty well. So I do enjoy this a lot. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Next, let's go to the other extreme here with Dungeon Doors. Dungeon Doors is a 1 versus 2 to 5 dungeon crawling role-playing experience, all in a small box. Is that correct? Let's take a look. In this game, one person is a dungeon master. They'll have a deck of dungeon doors. Everyone else has a hero card, and you'll pick one of these heroes with kind of okay artwork, I suppose. It's a little weird. You have some stats here that you'll be keeping track of. You have your hit points, your magic points. This guy has infinity magic points. Your defense, damage, and to hit modifiers. You might get some treasure, some starting treasure, so you search through here and find it. Other than that, you'll shuffle this. The game, by the way, does come with a little tutorial, which I find this to be really annoying, honestly. Not that there's a tutorial, that's nice of them, but the fact that they wasted this many cards in a tutorial when it's not that big of a game. Anyway, the Dungeon Master will draw 5 dungeon cards, doors, place 3 of them in front of the players. Players will pick one because, I don't know why, whatever. You pick one with no knowledge at all. You'll turn it over, and you'll find obstacle rooms like this one where you will roll 11 or higher, you keep your stuff. 10 or below, you're mesmerized and stray too close. It takes 1 treasure card of the DM's choosing. If you don't have a treasure card, it takes your pants instead. Fine. So there's ones that have monsters in them. This is a spooky gnat. When there's that, everyone rolls a 20-sided die for initiative. Whoever goes highest goes first. You will roll a die to see if you hit your opponent. You'll look at the number you roll. You'll add your to hit modifier. You'll see if it's higher than their defense. If it is, you will roll a d6 of damage plus your damage modifier. In this case, it's a minus, and then subtract it from their hit points. By the way, how do you keep track of hit points and magic points in this game? By pen and paper. That seems kind of dumb, but whatever. And that's it. You're going to keep going until the heroes find one of the many exits. So here's an exit, and then if you get out the exit, all the exits have different ways to get out of them. If you get out the exit, the heroes win. If people die, then the villain wins. Although there are afterlife cards, and there are companion cards and summon cards, that you can come back and, ooh, now you're a caring coyote or a polite pixie. Anyway, that's the game. I hate this game so much. Some parts of it remind me of One Deck Dungeon, which I'm not a big fan of One Deck Dungeon, but at least One Deck Dungeon has some sort of game in it. This one, my word, it is just roll dice and see what happens. In the first time we played this, one of the heroes died on the first monster. They had 8 hit points. The monster rolled a hit, was a +2, and rolled a 6. They're dead. Why? How is that fun? Everything is just a big random mess. And then the rules, and again, they went so far they have these quick start rules and a rule book. What? This is a small card game. Just give me rules. I know that, and I don't want this, especially when the game's not particularly difficult. And then the rules also constantly say to them, well, if you don't like this, change it. If you don't like this, change it. Hey, here's the thing for you. How about you just design me a good game? Then I don't have to change anything. There's too few cards. There's not enough game here. The game master is kind of just putting cards down. He gets to choose which ones. So you put down the worst ones for the characters, unless you're trying to give them a good role-playing experience, in which case you play a different game. 2 out of 10. Dungeon Doors, do not recommend. All right, and now for something different. We have an adorable-looking little game called If It Fits. This is about putting cats in boxes. You have your cats, and then you're going to be making boxes and allowing those cats to kind of area control the boxes. Let me show you. Each player is going to have cats of one of different types, so you'll pick whatever cute little cat you would like to have. You'll have a stack of these cats, and then there's going to be a deck of cards, and players will have a handful of cards. You'll notice these cards show cardboard boxes, and on your turn, most of the time, you're just going to be playing cards with the short ends next to the short ends and the long ends next to the long ends. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to build a box that has different treats in it. Those treats are worth 1 point, or there are toys which will be worth points. And instead of playing a card on your turn, you can play a cat, and that cat goes in 2 boxes. Once you play a cat into a box, no one else can go there. And at the end of the game, they're going to get points for each of those. Not everything is good, though. There are water bottles in the game which are negative points, so you don't want those. Now that's in your box there. Look how big that box is. And that's pretty much the game. There's a few rules about having sleeping cats and waking them up, and you can play with these black cats here, which will show up in a deck, and there's a few other advanced rules, but it's basically you're just building boxes all over and then taking the time to put cats out in them, because as we all know, cats like to play in boxes. If It Fits is a nice, calming game that does what we see a lot of the games do. Because honestly, If It Fits is Carcassonne with cats, but not as good as Carcassonne. Now, you can argue, hey, it's just a deck of cards, and that part I get. Hey, it's cats, and that part I get. So if you like the idea of the cute cats, and you're just placing boxes out a little randomly because you get what you get in your hand, and you'll add water bottles to other people's boxes, you will make the treats bigger, and there's a little bit of who's going to go first and place their cat into that. But I don't know that I would really want to play this that often. I give this one a 6 out of 10. The card quality is good. It looks good. The theme is very evocative and fun, but it just is fine as a game. It's not something I would want to keep going back to. So that's If It Fits. Now we're going to take a look at Sushi Rush. Sushi Rush is a game in which you use chopsticks to grab sushi pieces out of a middle tray. I really like that concept, although I'm not very good with chopsticks myself, but this game has chopstick helpers. Now in this game, you're going to have a pair of chopsticks, which are not really chopsticks. I don't know what they are. They have these rubber things in it, and you have this little helper here, which lets you open and close them. I'm showing you the best pair. These don't work most of the time, and you can see how they're kind of falling out. I have real chopstick helpers at my house, and they're probably much better quality. So you have a bunch of sushi pieces here inside a box here, along with some bits of wasabi. You'll have a deck of cards near the board, and each round of the game, you're going to look at the back of the card, and that's going to tell you the rules for that one, which is very helpful, because you'll just have to explain to everyone else how that one works. Sometimes you're trying to grab the most of something, sometimes you're trying to build a tower, sometimes you're just trying to grab various pieces here, and once you figure it out, you'll flip the timer here, and then everybody, at the same time, reaches in the box with these, tries to grab pieces, and put them... I'm not very good at this. And that's really how the game works. And put them in their little tray that they have out here. And then you score points. And then you go to the next round. And you're just going to keep going. Now, the rule book has really brightly colored illustrations. Here's how the different rounds work. And I like that a lot. But you keep going until someone gets 50 points, which can take a really long time. The timer runs out and the game's over. Now, I want you to realize you're looking from above, but this is kind of what your view looks like from the side of the table. This is hard to see in here. It's also hard to see this timer since everyone's grabbing from here, and this timer is not an easy timer to see. What I'm saying is the components for this game are actively working against it. This is not the only game that has used chopsticks to grab things. There's a lot of games like that. It's not particularly innovative, but I don't mind if this is a very nice cover. The idea is going to be fun for people, but like I said, the fact that it's hard to see in the box, it's not easy to grab those pieces with the sticks, which maybe is not that big of a deal. Except trying to get to 50 points, it takes forever. The cards, you have to pause before each one and go, this is how this one's going to work. And then when you turn it over, some of the cards are all the same on the other side, which is weird anyway. The timer's not great. So all that kind of really works against the game. I'd like to like this. I'd like to say it's a fun one for kids, but I'm going to have to give Sushi Rush a 5 out of 10 because the components make it not worth getting. Now we're going to take a look at Ultimate Treehouse. So this game is about building a treehouse and is maybe the 6th or 7th game I built with this in place. This one has really cute anthropomorphic animals and actually comes with playmats to put the stuff on. Let's take a look. In this game, you're scoring points by building different sections of your treehouse. So everyone has this. So if I build this, and you'll notice that this costs 2 of the sheet metal and 1 rope, and there's really, really nice pieces here to do that. And then when you build it, this goes here. How do I know it goes there? Because of the background picture. It's not always easy to tell, and this one then is going to be worth 3 victory points. Sometimes when you build something, like if I build this up here, you can build multiples. This is worth 3, 7, or 11, depending on how many of them you build there. And then if you build anything in the main section here, you'll get, if you build all 3 of these, you'll get extra points at the end of the game. On a player's turn, they're going to draw a card from the action deck to your hand. So you have a hand of cards, and you're able to play one of these cards on your turn. So like this one here says, a tree fell down, take 3 wood, pick at the top 3 store items and buy 1, restock the store, take 2 of anything you want, trade 3 resources, take 1 wood from each player who has 1. A lot of cards like that. You can also build objects from here as long as you can meet the requirements on them and put them on your tree. These are replaced. Players will also keep track of the weather. This says everything is discounted by 1. And you can see the weather coming up next turn. So next turn, it's too hot to build anything with metal in it. And then these will just keep turning over and you'll have different weather. And it's also keeping track of the rounds of the game. So each new day, you update the weather. Each player takes a turn where they will draw. You can play 1 card. You can build as many things as you want. And then you'll discard down to 5 cards. At the end of the game, you'll score victory points, plus, like I said, extra victory points if you've built here, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, Fat Brain has made really great things here. I mean, component-wise. The fact that the boards are playmats is fantastic. The artwork, superb. The resources are great. Has a little player board. The rules are easy to understand. The only problem I have is the fact that there's not like a little number in the corner of each card that shows you where it is. And yes, it might be fun going, where does this go on the playmat? It would be easier, and sometimes you'll see one and it's already on your board, and I don't know. I just wish they had kind of given some sort of indication where it went on a tree board. When you put them on, though, your tree board turns from, just a tree to a full of activity and things. But that being said, I don't really like the game that much. It's okay. It's enjoyable, but I see flaws in it. So I'm giving it a 6 because I think the game is fun to play with a certain order of, how things work. It's all in those action cards. They're just not balanced. Some action cards give you 3 resources of your choice. That's objectively better than any other action card. Some let you take stuff from other people, which in a game like this is tough. There's no way to just get resources. The game is really tight on resources. In a game that's going to appeal to kids, I don't understand that. I don't understand why there's not a rule that at the beginning of your turn, take 1 resource of your choice or something. Sometimes you go a couple turns without building anything because you took resources, but the things out there you can't build, and then someone stole a piece of wood from you, and then you see someone else get 3 of their choice, which lets you build anything you want, and then the next turn they get 2 of their choice and do something, and I'm thinking, man, this just isn't, the cards just seem odd, and the weather sometimes goes against you. And again, none of this is necessarily really bad, but it keeps the game from being more strategic than it could have been. I'm just surprised that when this game was developed, nobody looked at that and said, these cards aren't very balanced. And you don't have to be a gamer to know this. A kid is going to complain. They're going to be like, they just got 4 resources and I got 2. How is that fair? And my answer is, it's not. And why not make the cards all balanced? They can do different things and have cool stuff. And you get a handful of cards and you don't get any resources from those cards because you need resources to play this game. Now, most cards give you some sort of resource, but if it gives me 3 rope and none of the things out there need rope, I'm just not as interested in that. So it's so close to being a game I would really recommend, but as it is, it's not one that, if you said let's play it, I wouldn't be upset, hence the 6, but other than that, I would probably pass. So that is the Ultimate Treehouse, probably not the ultimate one. Now we're going to take a look at Invincible, the dice game. Invincible, the dice game is based on a very popular comic/cartoon now, where you're rolling dice to beat enemies. Here's how it plays. This is a push your luck style game where you're going to each turn you'll have 3 energy cubes and you have this big pool of dice. Some of the dice are not very good, like these yellows have 1s on 3 sides of them, while this black die has a lot of different symbols on it. So you'll turn over the top card of the deck in your turn. Ooh, this guy's worth 1 point. He takes 2 to defeat him. If I don't defeat him, I'll lose an energy. So I always roll the blue die, and then I can roll up to 3 dice of my choice. So I'm going to roll these. You're like, why are you rolling these garbage dice? Because if I roll the better dice later on, there might be a harder enemy here. So I think I can get 2. I hope so. Okay, so no. I rolled 1 hit against, and I needed 2. And this cancels one of this that I would lose from attack. So hey, I didn't beat him, but I also got nothing either. All right, well, that's not very good. Let's go to the next guy. These 3 dice that I used now go to the next player. I can't use them. This guy is worth 2 points. Well, let's not fool around. Let's just use my best dice against this guy. 4. I beat him, so now I have 2 points. Oh, and I double one of the dice. Oh, I really beat this guy, so I beat him. Now, at this point, I can stop. Well, why would I want to stop? I'm doing well, so let's draw another card. This guy gives no points, but I have to beat him. I don't have these dice anymore, so let's just roll the 3 yellow dice. I did beat him, so I don't lose an energy. But now these dice are gone. I'm down to just these 3 dice left. I couldn't roll less than 3. Knockout. I lose an energy cube. I discard this and the next card. Okay, that didn't seem very fun. Another one. This guy just beat for 1. Now, maybe I'll stop at this point and just take the 2 points here at the top. If you ever run out of energy cubes, though, and this can make you lose an energy cube. See that blue one? Makes you lose an energy cube. Or if you lose the cards, you lose energy cubes. If you run out of energy cubes, then your turn is over. Or if you run out of attack dice. So you would, by the way, that one that I didn't defeat, I should have had to roll more dice against it and keep going. But if you run out of dice and you can't defeat the enemy, you're out. Or if you run out of energy cubes, you're out and you get nothing for that turn. Oh, so you have to learn where to stop. That's it. I'll show you the rest of the deck. So you can see there's lots of different characters. I don't know why you're fighting her. I thought she was your friend. And various amounts of points that they're worth or not points. Okay. Ugh, I hate this game. The card quality is nice. The dice are nice. The theme is non-existent, and I know this because they make other games with this exact same theme that fit in here. There's the Walking Dead dice game, and it just roll some dice, see what happens, turn over the card. The cards aren't even balanced. I mean, you turn over a card that says, you need to beat this enemy, but you get no points for doing so. Well, that's not fair. That didn't happen to John. It just seems nonsensical. Some take more energy. This one here gives 4 points, and you need a 4 to beat him. But this one gives 2 points, and you need a 4 to beat him. And if this card's not defeated after attack, you roll the blue die again, and you keep losing energy cubes. That's just nonsensical. I hate everything about this. I'm giving this game a 3. The rules are okay. They're fairly simple, and some people might like the whole push your aspect of it, the push your luck aspect of it. But there are lots of games that push your luck. I'd rather just play a very simple one, or at least it feels balanced. But this card deck is so wildly all over the place, and then they just slapped Invincible on it. Shameful. I don't like this at all. That's Invincible, the dice game. Garbage. Aurum here is a trick-taking game from Pandasaurus. But most trick-taking games these days have some sort of, what's the catch? In this one, when you follow suit, you have to play a different suit than the one that was led. Let me show you. There are 5 suits in this game, numbered from 1 to 10 each, and there are gold cards too. The gold cards, each player is going to start with 1 0 gold card. The rest are placed out in the middle of the table. And this is going to matter. This is in a 4-player game. There are teams of 2, and you're trying to win 2 rounds, taking these gold nuggets here by getting the most points. So you're going to shuffle these cards together. Everyone's going to get 12 of them, and then there's 2 left over. These cards are going to be face up so everyone knows what cards are not in play. Then you're going to pass some cards, and then you're going to bid on how many tricks you think you can take. So like I said, when somebody leads a card, each other player must play a different suit if possible. You can always play gold, and you can play gold even if someone else has already played gold. Whoever plays the highest number wins. Unless gold was played, then the highest gold will win the trick. But there are 2 people involved in a trick. Whoever plays the highest number wins the trick. They'll take the cards. But whoever plays the lowest base metal card, in this example it is a 1, will take a gold card that matches that number, if it's available, and they get to add it. This card is going to be worth points possibly at the end of the game to help determine who the winner is. I mean, it's even possible. There's even an 8 out there that's worth 3 points, but then 8 would have to be the lowest card. That person also leads the next trick. Once you take these gold cards, you can play them in the future, but when you play them, they're returned to supply, so you'll no longer get the points at the end of a round. A round ends when somebody can't play a card, or they choose not to, which means they have gold cards, but they chose not to play one of those gold cards. And then you're going to see how many tricks you took. If you take fewer tricks than you bid, let's say I said we're going to take 4 tricks, you get no points. If you go over your thing, let's say I said we're going to take 4 tricks and we took 6, then we get 4 points. But if I said we're going to take 4 tricks and we get exactly 4 tricks, then we would get 8. You'll also add all the points on any gold cards that your team has, and whoever has the most will get the gold nugget. First person to get 2 gold nuggets wins. There's some variations in the rules on how a 3-player game is played, slightly differently, but kind of has the same general gist. Aurum is a very esoteric trick-taking game. I'm someone who loves trick-taking games, but this one is going to rip some people's minds in knots. So first of all, there's a concept of playing a different trick than the other person has played. That's been done in not many, but several other trick-taking games, probably most well-known, a game called Potato Man. And so I like that concept of it. That's a little different. But it's that gold cards that really make everything tricky. You're trying to play the lowest card. It's really fun to play that lowest card, but it's still a high number. Take one of those gold cards. Now you have a strong hammer to take any trick in the future so that you can get your exact number of tricks. Because if I say we're going to take 5 tricks and we take it, that's 10 points. It doesn't really matter how many gold cards we have. We're probably going to win the round. But maybe I need to keep a couple of these gold cards in my hand for points, or do I play them to take the trick? Now, I think in advanced play, you don't even start with the 0 gold, so it kind of even changes things up a little bit more. I like this. I'm giving it a 7.5. I don't love it because it's a little bit to wrap your mind around, and I found that a lot of people I play with struggle with wrapping their mind around it. I there's so many interesting concepts back and forth. I was fascinated with it the whole time, and each time I play this, I'm fascinated by it, but I don't know that I would be able to find a lot of people to play it. They'd rather play something, I think, a little bit more straightforward, which is why it's not higher for me. But I found it to be enjoyable, and if you love trick-taking games and want something that's not particularly complex, but definitely a little mind-bendy to play, then Aurum is one I would recommend. So there you go, folks. That's 7 quick reviews. Check them out. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time on the Dice Tower.